We know how unpredictable the MLB draft can be, but back in 2020, it was maybe the most unpredictable wild draft we have ever seen because of the COVID pandemic going on. There was obviously no lottery then, it was the reverse order of the 2019 standings, and they shortened the draft to just 5 rounds, the smallest draft of this century. Teams were allowed to sign an unlimited amount of undrafted players, which was also kind of wild at the time. And like 2019, the Detroit Tigers had the #1 overall pick, and they ended up taking a third baseman out of Arizona State by the name of Spencer Torkelson. And Spencer Torkelson was up on the major league roster by 2022 when he was 22 years old, but he posted a -1.4 B-WAR that season. He had just a 604 OPS and a 74 OPS plus after being one of the top prospects in baseball and raking in the minor leagues. And then in 2023, in 159 games, he had a 758 OPS, and we thought that Spencer Torkelson was breaking out, but in 2024, he just appeared in 92 games, was up and down from AAA, and had a sub 700 OPS. But in 2025, Torkelson has finally broken out. Therefore, I'm going to give this pick a B. Maybe I'm being a little bit generous here. Maybe it's a little bit of recency bias. He's got an 826 OPS in the first half of the 2025 season. He's got 21 home runs and 59 RBIs, and looks like he could still be a cornerstone first baseman for the Detroit Tigers, when a lot of people thought after the 2024 season that he was pretty much a bust of a #1 overall pick. And since it was such a volatile draft, they did a lot better than who went #2, and that was Heston Kjerstad to the Baltimore Orioles. Kjerstad, coming out of college, was a 6'2" left-handed outfielder coming out of Arkansas University. Kjerstad also was part of those sick Baltimore Orioles minor league systems with guys like Kobe Mayo, Jordan Westbrook, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Colton Cowser, Kyle Stowers. It was just tough for Heston Kjerstad to get playing time on the major league roster because they already had Austin Hayes, Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins in the outfield already. Kjerstad got called up by the Baltimore Orioles in 2023, where he had a cup of coffee, played 13 games, just 30 at-bats, and had a 748 OPS, but looked like he could be a good utility bat for the Baltimore Orioles after they broke out in 2023, winning 101 games, but he just appeared in 39 games in 2024, and the lack of consistent playing time for Heston Kjerstad has limited him to have the chance to grow. In 54 games in 2025, he also has a negative WAR and a 566 OPS. I do wonder if Kjerstad just needs a change of scenery, but I do feel like Mike Elias has kind of fumbled the development of the #2 overall pick in that volatile 2020 draft. I'm going to give this pick a D+ here in hindsight. We had the first pitcher off the board with the 3rd overall selection. The Miami Marlins selected Max Meyer out of Minnesota. I'm going to give this pick a C-. Meyer got called up to the Miami Marlins in 2022, just started 2 games for them, 6 total innings, but missed all of the 2023 season to, you guessed it, Tommy John. He returned in 2024. We had a 5.68 ERA, and this year he's got a 4.73 ERA and 64 innings pitched, a 4.41 FIP. He struck out 68 guys in 64 innings. I do think Meyer is getting better and better as we get further and further away from the Tommy John surgery, and he could still end up being a good pitcher in this league, but selected 3rd overall when definitely an ace when a couple picks later. I'm going to give this one a C-, just with the tax that he was selected in that top 3. And we're going to give out our worst grades so far yet. We have Asa Lacy getting drafted to the Kansas City Royals out of Texas A&M with the 4th overall pick. Unfortunately, I have to give this one an F. The left-hander is still in the minors. He is yet to record an inning thrown at the major league level, and Lacy is going to be 26 years old this year and hasn't been a part of the Royal system since 2022, where he got off to a rocky start in high A back in 2021. He had a 5.19 ERA. He had a better outing in the Arizona Fall League in 2021, but injuries and a lack of development has made this one of the worst picks of some of the more recent MLB drafts. It doesn't get much better with the 5th overall pick, where the Toronto Blue Jays selected the shortstop out of Vanderbilt, a school that produces great shortstops like Dansby Swanson, and that was Austin Martin. But unfortunately, I have to give this pick an F as well. Austin Martin, you may remember, was in a big trade before he was ever called up to an MLB roster. He was traded with Simeon Woods Richardson to the Minnesota Twins for Jose Barrios. Austin Martin has appeared in 93 games, and that was in 2024 for the Twins. He also had a negative WAR. He had a 670 OPS. It looks like he's just going to be somewhat of a utility bat, maybe at the MLB level. Not good value for somebody that was selected 5th overall, and the Blue Jays sold high while they could. A little bit more positive of a grade here, coming in at #5. We have Emerson Hancock getting drafted to the Seattle Mariners out of the University of Georgia. I'm going to give this one a C- as well. Hancock was a top prospect throughout the Mariners system, but he didn't work out like guys like Bryce Miller, Bobby Wu, George Kirby, and Logan Gilbert, as he was called up in 2023. He just appeared in 3 games and 12 innings, and then in 2024, he had a larger role. He appeared in 60 innings, 12 games total, but a 4.75 ERA. He did have a FIP that year of a 5.69, and that FIP hasn't gotten much better in 2025, a 5.59 FIP. He was expected to potentially break out with the injury to George Kirby starting off the year, but but he's got a 5.47 ERA in 77 innings. At least he's up there in the majors. At least he's showing that he could do something at the major league level, unlike Asa Lacy. So this is going to be very similar to Max Meyer, giving it a C-. And then here at number 7, the Pittsburgh Pirates selected Nick Gonzalez, the second baseman out of New Mexico State. Now, Gonzalez is playing a little bit better here in 2025. He was called up by the Pirates in 2023, a team that hasn't had the best track record drafting batters early in the MLB draft. We know that Henry Davis, a former #1 overall pick, hasn't really worked out so far, but hopefully Connor Griffin can be different, who was their first round pick in the 2024 draft. But Gonzalez, when he got called up in 2023, had a 616 OPS. Then in 2024, he had a 709 OPS and a 270 batting average, and it's pretty much around the same this year, although the slugging has gotten a little bit better. He's got a 744 OPS, a 106 OPS plus, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, and has a slight positive WAR. I'm gonna give it a C. Could be a lot better, could be a lot worse. Coming in at number 8, the San Diego Padres and AJ Preller drafted an outfielder out of high school, our first high school prospect here, and that was Robert Hassel out of Tennessee. Robert Hassel was obviously included in that Juan Soto trade during the 2022 MLB season with other top prospects like CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, and James Wood. I thought Robert Hassel was going to be maybe the best player out of that bunch, at least earlier in his career. He's appeared in 21 games for the Nationals here in 2025, a 218 batting average, a 43 OPS plus. A lot of Nationals haven't really taken steps forward this year, but luckily for Hassel, he's still just 23 years old since he was a high school prospect. That's why I'm going to be a little bit generous to him here and give this a C- grade, because he's had his moments in the minors. He was a high school prospect. I'm not going to make this an F, because if he was selected out of college and he was 26 years old, then it would have been an F. Coming in at number 9, the Colorado Rockies selected another high school outfielder by the name of Zach Veen. Zach Veen raked through the minors when he was healthy. He was called up to the team in 2025, but he really struggled when he got called up. He had 1 home run, 4 hits, and 37 plate appearances, which gives him a 118 batting average, a 189 OBP, and a 424 OPS. The Rockies have kind of fumbled his development as of late. They're trying to rework his swing. I'm going to give this one a C- as well. Very similar to Robert Hassel. He's done well in the minors. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt since he was selected out of high school, and hopefully when he gets called up again, he could be a long-term outfielder piece for the Colorado Rockies, because they sure could use him. Coming up here at number 10, we have Reed Detmers, who was selected out of Louisville. We have our 4th pitcher mentioned, the left-hander, actually threw a no-hitter in his MLB career earlier on. He was called up in 2021, but really broke out for the Angels in 2022. In 129 innings, he did have a 3.77 ERA and threw that no-hitter in 2022. In 2023, though, he regressed a little bit, but still had a 4.48 ERA in 148 innings pitched and a 4.13 FIP. But 2024 was a disaster for Detmers. He was called up and down from the minors. He appeared in 17 games, but had a 6.7 ERA. This year for the LA Angels, a 4.15 ERA coming out of the pen now in 43 innings. I'm going to give this pick a C. Detmers had his moment. He has accomplished a lot more than guys like Max Meyer, Asa Lacy, and Emerson Hancock have, because he threw a no-hitter. Some MLB legends have never thrown a no-hitter in their career. Hopefully he's somebody that just needs a change of scenery, and we'll see, because he is 26 years old right now, but it makes it look a little bit worse given who went after him. And that is going to be the best pick in this draft by far. The Chicago White Sox, with the 11th overall pick, took a pitcher out of Tennessee who was also a bullpen arm earlier in his career, and he goes by the name of Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet played for the White Sox in 2020 when the White Sox finished 3rd in the AL Central and they were trying to make the playoffs, so he got called up right away. He was also an elite arm for them out of the pen in 2021, a season in which the White Sox ended up winning 93 games, but unfortunately lost in the divisional series, so they did technically make it a little bit further than 2020 since they didn't have to play in the wild card matchup. He didn't pitch at all in 2022 because of an injury, and then appeared in 13 games in 2023. He was lights out for the White Sox in the first half of 2024, posting a 3.58 ERA in 146 innings. He was in trade rumors all year long, but he wanted to sign an extension if he got traded, and that happened in the 2025 offseason, where the Red Sox gave up a haul of prospects by the names of Kyle Teal, Brandon Montgomery, and a few others. And then Crochet signed a massive 6-year, $170 million extension with the Red Sox. It won't make him a free agent until 2032, and this year he's been a bona fide ace for the Sox. 129 innings, leading the American League, 20 starts already, a 2.23 ERA, also leading the American League. And he's also leading the American League in strikeouts and ERA. Plus, he was an all-star this year, and he may end up winning the 2025 American League Cy Young. It is by far the best pick in this draft so far. And then it gets followed up by an outfielder selected out of high school, joining Robert Hassel and Zach Veen in that category so far by the Cincinnati Reds. And they selected Austin Hendrick out of a high school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Hendrick has yet to make it to the majors so far, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt for that reason. He's still playing for the Reds, unlike Asa Lacy in Kansas City. He's been a little bit better here in 2025 as a 24-year-old, but still in Double-A. So I feel bad giving him an F. I'll give this pick a D, just because he's playing all right for the Reds in the minors right now. He came out of high school, and we haven't seen him in the majors yet, but if you wanted to give this pick an F, that'd be fine with me. At 13, we have our first catcher off the board. The San Francisco Giants selected Patrick Bailey out of NC State. Joey Bart didn't really work out for this team, and Patrick Bailey, not much better. He has a 565 OPS here in the 2025 season as a 26-year-old. He did post around 2 B-WAR because of his elite defense in 2024. He's somebody that's never going to hit, but he's an elite defensive catcher, so I'm giving this pick a C. Maybe he could be this generation's Austin Hedges, but man, he definitely needs to hit better if he could be on a major league roster going forward in his career. Pick 14 was made by the Texas Rangers, and they selected Justin Foscue, a second baseman out of Mississippi State, and I'm going to give this pick an F. Foscue did play for the Texas Rangers in 2024, where in 15 games he posted a negative WAR and a 162 OPS. This year in 2025, he's just appeared in 3 games, 6 plate appearances, and had a 500 OPS. He's somebody that's reached the majors so far. He is a 26-year-old utility bat, and there were definitely some better picks that went after him, so I'm going to be a little bit harsh and give this pick an F. Here at 15, we saw somebody debut from this class this year, from the 2020 class, and that was a high school pitcher from Oregon, and that's Mick Abel of the Philadelphia Phillies, where he got off to a really good start in his career. He has struggled a little bit as of late against teams like the Mets and the Padres, but I'm going to give this pick a B+. I do feel like Abel could be a good major league starter. Maybe this is a little bit of recency bias, but in 25 innings this year, he has posted a 5 ERA, but I do feel like the stuff is there for him to be a good pitcher in the major leagues, and he came out of high school as well, so he's still just 23 years old. The Phillies can be patient with him given how loaded their starting rotation is, and they also have Andrew Painter waiting in the wings as well, so I'm going to be a little bit generous here to the Phillies. I think Abel could be a good 3 or 4 in the major league one day, and that's definitely deserving of a B+ given how mid this draft has been so far. Because one pick later, the Chicago Cubs selected somebody that has not appeared in the major leagues yet. That is Ed Howard, who was a shortstop selected out of Mount Carmel High School in Illinois. I will be giving this pick a D as well, just because Howard was selected out of high school. He's 23 years old. He's currently on the 60-day IL for the Cubs. He's appeared in 11 games this year in Double-A for Knoxville. He has a 440 OPS, and if I wasn't going by my high school benefit of the doubt rule, this definitely would be an F, and maybe at the end of the year, this will be an F. The Red Sox selected somebody that was a top prospect at one point by the name of Nick York, a second baseman prospect out of a Californian high school. He's only appeared in 11 games in his career, and he had a 664 OPS for the Pittsburgh Pirates because he was traded for Quinn Priester at the 2024 trade deadline. I will be giving this pick a D because you guessed it, he was selected out of high school, going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but man, between Ed Howard, Zach Veen, Robert Hassel, Nick York, the high school class here from the 2020 draft has not aged the best. The Diamondbacks took a college pitcher out of Duke by the name of Bryce Jarvis with the 18th overall pick, and I'm going to give this one a B. Bryce Jarvis started out as a starter in his career, but he never really was a starter for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He debuted as a 25-year-old in the 2023 season, and in 23 innings, he had a 304 ERA, and then in 2024, he had a 319 ERA in 59 innings pitched, so he definitely found some success being a reliever for the Diamondbacks, and so far in the 2025 season, he's still been consistent. He does have a career-high 4.4 ERA and just 14 innings pitched, but with all the injuries to the Diamondbacks this year and his 3.85 FIP, he could be somebody that you can have going forward. He's still on their 40-man roster, and as a 27-year-old, has found a nice role as a righty reliever, so I'm giving this one a B, given how bad some of these other picks have been in this draft. We talked about the best pitchers so far in this draft, and Garrett Crochet, who went 11th overall to the White Sox. Well, the next best player was kind of the opposite of Garrett Crochet. He didn't start out on a Chicago team, but got traded to one, and that was Pete Crow Armstrong, who was selected out of a Californian high school by the New York Mets. Pete Crow Armstrong never played a single game for the Mets because he was traded to the Chicago Cubs for Javier Baez during the 2021 season. It was kind of crazy when the Mets did it at the time. For a half a season of Baez, they didn't even make the playoffs that year. Although Baez was a good Met, they didn't re-sign him. It worked out because Baez has not been super great for the Detroit Tigers, although being an all-star this year. But yeah, Pete Crow Armstrong, as a Mets fan, this one hurts to say because this has to be an A+. PCA may win NL MVP this year. We've talked about so many disappointing bats, but PCA as a high school outfielder, something we said hasn't really worked out for some of these guys in this class, it's worked out for the Chicago Cubs. He's got an 847 OPS this year after having a 670 OPS last year. He had a 2-win season because of how elite of a defender he is. And he also stole 27 bags in 123 games. This year, he already has 27 bags in 95 games. He's leading the National League in WAR. He's got 25 home runs, 71 RBIs. He does chase a lot. He doesn't really walk a lot either, but man, his contact has been phenomenal in the 2025 season. He is still just 23 years old since he was selected out of high school, and this is a easy A+ to hand out. One pick after PCA went Garrett Mitchell, an outfielder out of UCLA, to the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going to give this one a B-. I know Garrett Mitchell has not been great in 2025, and I thought he was going to be a breakout candidate given how consistent he was in his first 3 years. In 2022, when he was called up, an 832 OPS. In 2023, in 73 plate appearances, a 761 OPS. Finally, in 2024, had a larger sample, 69 games, 224 plate appearances, an 812 OPS, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs, and 11 stolen bases. This year, though, in 25 games, 78 plate appearances, a 580 OPS. So I'm going to give this one a B- here just because I think he could be a solid bench outfield bat at the worst. But I just need him to stay healthy throughout the course of a season because right now he's on the 60-day IL yet again for the Milwaukee Brewers. If you would have told me before this guy debuted, I would have guessed he was going to be the best player or one of the best players from this draft class. At number 21, the St. Louis Cardinals selected a third baseman out of a high school in Georgia by the name of Jordan Walker. Yeah, I don't get it, man. I really don't. For Jordan Walker, I have to give this a D because it's going to be my high school rule. Walker debuted in the 2023 season where he could have been playing in college, but he was one of the more younger players drafted. He just turned 23 last month, and he had a 276 batting average, a 787 OPS, in 172 games, but the Cardinals kind of messed up with his development a little bit because he never had a clear line of being a third baseman because they had Nolan Arenado there, and he wasn't the most comfortable outfielder in the world, and it really messed up his development. He got called down, shockingly, and then in 2024, 51 games, a 619 OPS, and so far in 2025, 55 games, a 562 OPS. It's kind of been a disaster. He's currently injured for the Cardinals. I still have faith in Jordan Walker being a good Major League Baseball player, but for now, I have to give this one a D. The Washington Nationals selected a pitcher out of Oklahoma at pick 22, and that was Cade Cavalli. I really like Cade Cavalli as a prospect. I was somebody that invested into him in my Dynasty League, but yeah, I have to give this one an F. If he came out of high school, it would have been a D because it's been that bad. He had a 14 ERA in just one game, 4 1/3 inning pitched in 2022. So far for the Nationals in the minor leagues, in 12 starts in AAA, he had a 5.8 ERA and is currently going to be 27 years old in a month or two. I feel like a lot of pitchers in the Nationals organization, like Travis Sorka, have passed him as their top pitching prospect, and they may be lucky if Cade Cavalli ever makes it to the majors again. At number 23, the Cleveland Indians at the time, I feel like they had so many variants with first round picks. They selected Carson Tucker, a shortstop prospect out of high school, and I'm going to go against my rule here. I'm going to give this pick an F just because Carson Tucker has not appeared in the minor leagues in 2 years. His last appearance was in 2023 for Single A Lynchburg in the Carolina League, where he had a 559 OPS. The year prior, as a 20-year-old, had a 480 OPS, and he was the younger brother of Cole Tucker, who you may know. Another smart organization was picking at 24, and that was the Tampa Bay Rays. They selected Nick Bitsko, a Central Bucks high school pitcher out of Pennsylvania, and I'm going to give this one a D. Bitsko has yet to debut in the major leagues. He's 23 years old, but he's on the 60-day IL. In 2025, still playing rookie ball in the Coast League, he appeared in 4 games, had a 12 ERA. I'm honestly being really nice here, not giving this one an F. The Atlanta Braves selected Jared Schuster, a pitcher out of Wake Forest, with the 25th overall pick. Schuster was traded to the Chicago White Sox in the 2023 offseason with Mike Soroka, Nicky Lopez, and Braden Shoemaker to get Aaron Bummer to Atlanta. Jared Schuster debuted for the Atlanta Braves in 2023 with a 5.81 ERA. In 2024, though, he did look pretty good for the Chicago White Sox, a 4.3 ERA and 73 innings pitched. He's currently on the 15-day IL, but has been pretty bad for the White Sox in 2025 when he did pitch 15 innings and an 8.04 ERA. I'm going to give this pick a C- just because he was a productive pitcher in 2024, and hopefully he could bounce back in 2026. The Oakland Athletics selected Tyler Soderstrom, a catcher out of a California high school, with the 26th overall pick, and I'm going to give this one an A. It's nice to be positive again, just because this is great value for somebody going here as productive as Soderstrom is. With the 26th overall pick, he's broke out fully in the 2025 season for the A's, now being the full-time first baseman because Shea Langoliers is their full-time catcher, and Soderstrom in 2025 has 18 home runs, 56 RBIs, a 340 OBP, a 462 slugging, and an 801 OPS. A really good late first-round pick here by the Oakland A's. The Minnesota Twins selected a first baseman here at 27 out of UNC, Aaron Sabato. I do have to give this pick an F. Sabato has never played a single game in the major leagues. In 2025, though, he has raked a little bit in the minors for St. Paul and Wichita in AAA and AA, posting an 871 OPS in AAA and a 973 OPS in AA, and maybe he ends up getting called up in September when the rosters expand if the Minnesota Twins are out of contention. But yeah, for now, I had to give the pick an F. The New York Yankees took a productive catcher here out of Arizona with the 28th overall pick by the name of Austin Wells. I'm giving this pick a B. Austin Wells, I thought, was going to win Rookie of the Year in 2024, but ended up finishing 3rd. His teammate Luis Heel won it that year, but Wells has been a consistent bat, a 742 OPS in 19 games in 2023 when he got called up, a 718 OPS in 2024. He had a 2.5 WAR season. This year, Wells has a 740 OPS, a 455 slugging, 14 home runs on the year. We've talked about so many whiffs in this draft so far for batters. This is a really good pick by the Yankees, and maybe the 3rd or 4th best batter from this draft class. And the last pick here at 29, the Los Angeles Dodgers selected Bobby Miller, a pitcher out of Louisville. At one point, he was basically like the Jordan Walker of pitchers for me in this draft class, and that 2023 season was special. He had a 3.76 ERA in 22 games in 124 innings, but it's just going backwards for Bobby Miller. An 8.52 ERA in 2024 and a 12.6 ERA in 2 games here in 2025 and is currently pitching in the minor leagues. I'm giving this pick a C- just because it was the last pick here in the first round. There's been a lot worse pitchers drafted here in the first round as well. And if Miller could just capture 85% of that 2023 season, he could be an alright 5-starter at the MLB level, which is still solid value for the last pick in the first round. And the Astros did not have the 30th overall pick in this draft from the sign stealing scandal. So that is gonna be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this 2020 MLB regrade. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.